I exposed my wife's friend's secret abortion to her husband after she spread lies about me. Now my marriage is falling apart and everyone hates me. I, Jake, 32M, never imagined I'd be in this situation. My wife Sarah, 30F, and I moved to Boulder, Colorado last year for her new job at a tech startup. We were college sweethearts, meeting during our sophomore year at UCLA. After graduation, we both landed jobs in San Francisco and got married 2 years later. Life was good, but when Sarah got headhunted for a senior position in Boulder, we saw it as an opportunity for a fresh start. The move was exciting but challenging. I had to leave my job as a software engineer and work remotely for a while. Sarah, always the social butterfly, quickly made friends with her coworkers. I, on the other hand, struggled to connect with people. My social anxiety, which I've dealt with since high school, made it hard to put myself out there. Enter Megan, 28F, and Tom, 33M. Megan worked with Sarah and they hit it off immediately. One Friday, about 2 months after we moved, Sarah invited them over for dinner. I was nervous about meeting new people, but to my surprise, Tom and I clicked right away. He was a laid-back guy who worked as a high school history teacher. We bonded over our love for obscure sci-fi movies and craft beer. Over the next few months, the four of us became inseparable. We'd have dinner together at least once a week, go hiking in the Flatirons on weekends, and even started a book club, though it often devolved into wine and gossip sessions. It was great to have another couple to hang out with, especially since Sarah and I don't have kids. I felt like I had finally found my footing in Boulder. My anxiety lessened, and I even started joining Tom for weekly basketball games with his friends. Sarah was thriving at her new job, and our relationship felt stronger than ever. But about 3 months ago, things started to change. It was subtle at first. Sarah would ask me odd questions out of the blue, like if I had any business trips coming up or if I was thinking about changing jobs. At first, I didn't think much of it. Sarah had always been curious about my work, and I assumed she was just checking in. Then I started noticing how she and Megan would whisper together and abruptly stop when I entered the room. Once, I walked into the kitchen to grab a beer during one of our game nights, and I distinctly heard Megan say my name before they both went silent. The turning point came during a barbecue at Tom and Megan's place. I was manning the grill with Tom when I overheard Megan telling Sarah that she had seen me at Frasca, a fancy Italian restaurant in town, with a blonde woman. She said she couldn't approach me because she was with a client, but she was sure it was me. This confused the hell out of me. I hadn't been to Frasca in months, not since Sarah and I went there for our anniversary, and I certainly hadn't been there with any blonde woman. I wanted to confront them right then and there, but I held back, not wanting to cause a scene. That night I couldn't sleep. The conversation replayed in my head over and over. Why would Megan say she saw me when she clearly didn't? And why didn't Sarah immediately dismiss it, knowing I had been working from home that day? The next morning, I decided to confront Sarah. I asked her about the conversation I overheard, and to my shock, she admitted that Megan had been telling her things about me that made her suspicious. Apparently, Megan had seen me in various places around town, always with different women. There was the blonde at Frasca, a redhead at the Pearl Street Mall, and a brunette at a coffee shop in North Boulder. I was floored. Not only were these stories completely false, but I was hurt that Sarah would believe them without talking to me first. I explained to her that none of it was true and that Megan must be making things up. It took some convincing, but Sarah eventually believed me. She apologized for doubting me, saying that the stories had seemed so detailed and convincing. But the damage was done. There was now a crack in the foundation of our relationship, and I couldn't shake off my anger towards Megan. Why would she spread such harmful lies? What did she have to gain from potentially ruining our marriage? I decided to do some digging on Megan. I talked to mutual friends and Sarah's coworkers, trying to find out more about her. Most people had nothing but nice things to say, which frustrated me even more. How could someone who seemed so nice be spreading such harmful lies? Then, about a week after the barbecue incident, I ran into Dr. Anderson, 45M, at a local coffee shop. I recognized him as Megan's gynecologist from a story she had once told about a funny misunderstanding at her annual checkup. We got to talking, and I casually mentioned Megan. Dr. Anderson asked me if she was doing better and if she had decided to go through with the procedure. I played along, pretending to know what he was talking about, and he revealed that Megan had scheduled an abortion but hadn't shown up for her appointment. This information hit me like a ton of bricks. Just a few weeks ago, during one of our game nights, Tom had mentioned that they were trying for a baby. He was so excited about the prospect of becoming a father, showing us the spare room they planned to turn into a nursery. I couldn't believe that Megan would keep this from him. I wrestled with what to do with this information for days. On one hand, I felt Tom had a right to know. He was my friend, and the thought of him being in the dark about something so important didn't sit right with me. On the other hand, it wasn't my place to reveal such personal information. But the more I thought about how Megan had nearly ruined my marriage with her lies, the angrier I got. The deciding factor came when Sarah mentioned that Megan had told her another story about seeing me, this time at a jewelry store with a mysterious woman. Sarah said she didn't believe it, but the fact that Megan was still spreading these lies pushed over the edge. I decided to tell Tom. I invited him over for drinks one evening when Sarah was out with her book club. At first, we just chatted about work and the upcoming basketball season. But as the night wore on and we had a few beers, I finally gathered the courage to tell him everything about Megan's lies about me and what Dr. Anderson had said. Tom was devastated. He couldn't believe Megan would keep something like this from him, especially when they had been trying for a baby. He left my place in a daze, and I felt a mix of relief and guilt. The next day, all hell broke loose. Megan showed up at our house, screaming and crying. She called me every name in the book and accused me of ruining her life. Sarah came home in the middle of this and was furious with me for getting involved. Now, Sarah isn't speaking to me. She says I went too far and that I had no right to reveal Megan's personal medical information. Tom and Megan are apparently separated, and Sarah blames me for breaking up their marriage. I don't think I did anything wrong. Megan was the one spreading lies about me and potentially ruining my marriage. All I did was tell the truth. But now I'm the bad guy? Am I really in the wrong here? Update 1. It's been 2 weeks since my last post, and the situation has only deteriorated. The tension in our house is palpable, with Sarah still barely speaking to me. I've tried to apologize multiple times, but she won't hear it. She keeps saying I don't understand the gravity of what I've done. Last weekend, after days of silence, Sarah finally sat down with me and explained why she's so upset. Apparently, there's more to Megan's story than I knew, and it goes back years before we even met them. Sarah told me that Megan had confided in her about her conflicted feelings about having children. This wasn't a recent development. It had been an ongoing issue in Megan and Tom's relationship for years. They had been high school sweethearts, and while Tom had always dreamed of having a big family, Megan had never been sure. According to Sarah, when Megan and Tom got married 6 years ago, they had agreed to wait a few years before starting a family. Megan wanted to focus on her career, and Tom was supportive at first. But as the years went by, Tom's desire for children grew stronger, while Megan's ambivalence turned into reluctance. Megan had confided in Sarah that she loved her job at the tech startup. She was on track for a big promotion and was excited about the direction her career was taking. The thought of putting all that on hold for motherhood terrified her. But Tom had started to pressure her more and more. He would point out their friends who were having babies, talk about how his parents were eager for grandchildren, and even started hinting that he might want to leave if Megan wasn't willing to start a family. Sarah says that Megan had finally agreed to try for a baby because she felt she had no choice. She was afraid of losing Tom, but she was also terrified of becoming a mother when she wasn't ready. When she found out she was pregnant, she panicked. She knew she wasn't ready and was scared of resenting the child or being a bad mother. That's why she had scheduled the abortion. She was planning to tell Tom everything, about her true feelings regarding motherhood, about the pregnancy, and about the abortion. She was just gathering the courage to do so, and had even made an appointment with a couples therapist to have the conversation in a safe environment. By revealing the information to Tom, I took away Megan's chance to be honest with her husband on her own terms. Sarah says that's why she's so upset with me, not just because I revealed private medical information, but because I interfered in a delicate situation that I didn't fully understand. I'm still processing all of this information. On one hand, I understand that Megan was in a difficult position. The pressure she was under from Tom must have been immense, and I can see why she might have made the decisions she did. But on the other hand, I still can't reconcile this with her behavior towards me. Why was she spreading lies about me? How does her difficult situation excuse potentially ruining my marriage? I tried to explain this to Sarah, but she's not having it. She says that Megan's lies, while wrong, were a misguided attempt to distract Sarah from noticing how troubled Megan was. Apparently, Megan had been acting strange at work, often looking upset or distracted, and she was afraid Sarah would figure out what was going on. So she created this drama about me as a smokescreen. Sarah keeps saying that Megan's lies, while hurtful, were ultimately harmless compared to the damage I've done. She says I've destroyed a marriage over some petty revenge, and that I should have talked to her or confronted Megan directly instead of going nuclear. To make matters worse, I found out that Tom has moved out of his and Megan's house. He's staying with his brother and is apparently considering divorce. Megan has taken a leave of absence from work and, according to Sarah, is barely functioning. She's not eating, not sleeping, and is consumed with guilt and grief. I'm starting to feel the weight of my actions, but I'm also frustrated. Why am I being painted as the villain when Megan was the one who started all of this? I've tried to reach out to Tom, hoping to explain my side of things, but he's not responding to my calls or texts. Sarah and I are sleeping in separate rooms now. She says she needs time to process everything and decide if she can move past this. I'm scared that my marriage might be the next casualty in this mess. I don't know what to do. Should I try to make amends with Megan? Should I give Sarah space? I feel like I'm losing everything over something that wasn't even my fault to begin with. The irony of the situation isn't lost on me. In trying to protect my marriage from Megan's lies, I might have inadvertently ruined it myself. Update 2. It's been a month since my last update, and things have taken an unexpected turn. Sarah and I are in marriage counseling now. It was her idea, and while I was initially resistant, I agreed because I want to save our marriage. During our sessions, I've come to realize that while Megan's actions were wrong, my response was disproportionate. I let my anger and desire for revenge cloud my judgment. The counselor helped me see that I could have handled the situation differently, perhaps by confronting Megan directly or discussing it further with Sarah before taking such drastic action. Our counselor, Dr. Martinez, has been instrumental in helping us navigate this situation. She's encouraged us to communicate more openly and to try to understand each other's perspectives. It's been challenging but also enlightening. Sarah has admitted that she should have trusted me more and not let Megan's lies affect our relationship. We've had long conversations about trust and communication, and we're slowly rebuilding what was broken. As for Megan and Tom, they're also in counseling. Tom reached out to me last week, which was unexpected. He was angry at first, understandably so. But he said that after some reflection and counseling sessions, he realized that Megan's lies about me were a symptom of larger issues in their relationship. Tom confessed that he had been putting a lot of pressure on Megan to have children, even though she had expressed doubts. He said he realizes now that he wasn't listening to her fears and concerns, and that he had made her feel like she had no choice. He thanked me for bringing everything to light, even if the way I did it wasn't ideal. Megan, on the other hand, still isn't speaking to me. Sarah says she's working through a lot in therapy and needs time. I understand that, and I'm giving her space. Sarah has maintained her friendship with Megan, which was initially hard for me to accept. But our counselor has helped me see that it's possible for Sarah to be friends with Megan while still being committed to our marriage. This whole experience has been a wake-up call for me. I've realized how easily relationships can be damaged by miscommunication and rash actions. Sarah and I are working on being more open with each other and not letting outside influences affect our marriage. Dr. Martinez has also helped me confront some of my own issues. My social anxiety, which I thought I had under control, clearly played a role in how I handled this situation. I'm now seeing a therapist individually to work on these issues. I'm not sure what the future holds, but I'm committed to learning from this experience and being a better partner and friend. Sarah and I have a long way to go, but I'm hopeful that we can come out of this stronger. It's been 6 months since this whole ordeal began, and I wanted to provide a final update. A lot has changed, and I've done a lot of reflecting. Sarah and I are in a much better place now. Our marriage counseling sessions with Dr. Martinez have been incredibly helpful. We've learned to communicate better and to trust each other more. We've also set clearer boundaries with friends and agreed to always discuss any concerns directly with each other before letting them affect our relationship. One of the biggest lessons I've learned is the importance of empathy. I've realized that it's easy to judge others' actions without understanding the full context of their situation. This doesn't excuse harmful behavior, but it has made me more inclined to seek understanding before reacting. As for Megan and Tom, they've decided to divorce. It turns out their issues ran much deeper than just the pregnancy and abortion. They realized they wanted fundamentally different things in life and decided it was best to part ways. It's sad, but they both seem to be doing better individually. Megan and I finally had a conversation last month. Sarah arranged it, feeling it was necessary for all of us to move forward. It was tense and emotional, but necessary. We both apologized for our actions. She explained that her lies about me stemmed from her own insecurities and unhappiness in her marriage. It doesn't excuse what she did, but it helped me understand. I apologized for the way I handled the situation and for revealing her personal information. While Megan and I will never be close friends again, we've reached a place of civil coexistence. Sarah still maintains a friendship with her, which I've come to accept. It's not always easy, but I trust Sarah, and I understand that Megan's friendship is important to her. This experience has taught me a lot about the complexities of relationships, the importance of direct communication, and the dangers of acting out of anger or revenge. I'm not proud of how I handled things, but I'm grateful for the lessons learned. Sarah and I are focused on strengthening our relationship and looking forward to the future. We're even talking about starting a family of our own now, a conversation that this whole experience has made us approach with more honesty and openness. To everyone who offered advice and support throughout this journey, thank you. Your perspectives helped me see things more clearly and contributed to the positive changes in my life.